So, welcome. My name is Paul Clare. My presentation is about the reason that Google makes so much money, pretty much. And this comes down to the way people have changed the way they use the internet, the way they get media, the way they consume, even from watching TV now. I mean, Sky Go does things in a various way. You can watch it anytime, any place. Netflix is obviously very massive, and all of these things rely upon the internet. But what's really changed it is probably down to mobile devices. I mean, if you think back just a few years, in all our lifetime, for example, to get online in the old days wasn't easy. You had to literally take out the phone line, which not everyone had a mobile phone, stick in the wire into your computer and wait for about 30 seconds of hearing that funny noise. And then you'd see one picture pop up, another picture was really slow, and sites those days were very different. So now, obviously, that's changed with mobile devices. So just quickly about myself, my name is Paul Clare, co-founder of a company called Opticommerce. I know some of you are using us and have used us for your websites. We actually have a large number of websites here in the UK, approximately 300 practices in the UK, but we also have a small presence in North America, in Canada and America. Scandinavia, thanks to our partnership with Opticommerce, we've integrated our site with a couple of practices out there, and the Republic of Ireland as well. I think through that knowledge base of turning on websites, we realised the importance of digital marketing. So my presentation will cover two main areas. One is media consumption, and the second thing, which is probably the most important thing to consider, especially because some of you are now in the process of developing your website, is to think just with mobile, because it's transformed the game. Yep. So that's a living room, probably before our time in some cases here. And that's how it used to look. And the interesting thing about that is if you wanted to reach an audience in the old days, it was relatively simple. You would just have to kind of market yourself in a couple of channels, television, print media, and you pretty much reached all your audience. And everyone used to watch, gather around the television, watch programs, and that was it. If you look at it today, it's far different. There's so many different devices, there's so many different ways of accessing media. You've got your mobiles, you've got your tablets, you've got your PlayStations, you've even got refrigerators now that are connected to the internet. And I say that because I just recently bought a house, and the guy goes to me, is your washing machine Wi-Fi? And I was like, I'm not sure what I'll do with that actually. And then also along with the Wi-Fi of the thing, then you've got a refrigerator. The refrigerator one sounded interesting because what they said you could do is you could actually look inside your fridge from a webcam and then see what's there, and based on that you can make a selection. But going forward, you can even see what's in the fridge, and you can reorder various things, probably from an app where you can go into your see and see what's there, what's not there, know your favorite items based on what you buy every single week, and you can see that coming, yeah? And then they had even the oven, and I bought Siemens devices for my house, and I haven't bought the Wi-Fi ones because I think we're still probably a few years away from that. But you can see how that technology could help someone's life in the future. So, to reach this audience, it's far more different, than what it was 20, 30, 40 years ago. Even 5 years ago, actually. We want our media at any time, on any screen, at any time, literally. I was on an aeroplane going to Glasgow at 6 o'clock in the morning last week on Monday, and I bought a weighing scale. Don't ask me why. I was just there, it was about 20 minutes to go, I was sitting on it, and I just bought it. Who would have done, that wouldn't have been done many, many years ago. Probably only recently, and I bought it from Amazon, and Amazon's website is superb, it's easy. You read the reviews from other customers, you see, and you get so much information, but the ability to buy something there is because we want the content, we got the information. And I'm in the process of buying TVs now, and if I think back about 25, 30 years ago, maybe 20 years ago, you bought a TV, it'd last about 10, 15 years. You went into your local Dixons at the time, Curry's, and there was very limited choice, and there wasn't much of a choice, the size of screen and the way it looks maybe, yeah? But now you know about the resolution, you know about the pixels, you know about the black's black, all this kind of stuff, yeah? So it's a lot more informed, and people making a lot more educated choices. But, that's due to the fact that we can get our consumption that way. So if I look back at 5 years ago, digital media at the time was about 32% of the overall consumption of media. Television was still number one. Radio and print were fairly significant. Interestingly, print has mainly gone digital now. Radio is also digital, and TV is digital, yeah? So digital now, if you look at it in 5 years, has overtaken everything, and it's number one, yeah? And that's just in 5 years. But here's the thing about mobiles. If you look at it 5 years ago, 79% of all the things we consumed were from pretty much a desktop. That means everything we accessed was from a desktop computer and 21% was mobile. How has that changed? 46% is now through a desktop, and 54% of everything we consume digitally is through a mobile device. It's actually far more accessible through a mobile device than a desktop. Yeah, 54%. So now what's that mean for you? If you had your website developed 5 years ago, the majority of people coming to your website were coming from a desktop platform. So in terms of how your book appointment page looked, in terms of how information about your products was displayed, in terms of how your frames looked, you just had to focus primarily on a desktop device. That was it. How fast is my website? How quick do the pages load, etc. is all done from a desktop site. However, today, 54% and growing of all the people that visit your business website will look at it from a mobile device. So if you're getting your websites developed, as I know some of you are, how many of you actually, as a question to you, have you looked at the mobile version before the desktop version, or did you look at the desktop version first? Just a question.
We haven't looked at it at all yet. They're doing it, we haven't seen it. So
Interesting. So that's
on the list.
exactly. So exactly. So what you have to consider, mobile has to be the primary focus of your. How does a page look? How quick? They used to say, okay, above the fold. That was very important. What appears above the fold? Now it's just like people are doing this, and that wasn't there before. Yeah. So 54% is going, and it's probably going to be 60% soon. And actually, people are not even using tablets as much as they used to. Mainly mobile. Maybe because the mobile phones are getting bigger and bigger, and the convenience of the tablet is not there anymore. So here's a question for you. We don't go online anymore. The question's coming. We actually live online, and that's the difference. Before you had to log on, you maybe did it at work, you maybe did it at home, and if you think about your overall consumption, even if you think back to your emails, you probably looked at your emails here and there. Now they come to your phone instantly, and this has changed the way we behave. As a result, it's changed the way people do things online, because we're always online now. Everything's connected. Here's the question. What do you think we do 150 times a day? You don't do anything else more than this. Yeah. So yeah, exactly. We look at our mobile phones at least 150 times per day. And I'm sure the youngsters are probably doing it even more. But that's, if you're awake for about 12, 15 hours, that's 10 times per hour. That's a lot. Yeah. Probably the first thing we do in the morning is we do that, yeah? Yeah. Another question, or not another question, but another interesting stat is, between us, we have about 3.4 devices on average per person. 10 years ago, we didn't have 3.4 devices. None of us have probably 3.4 toothbrushes, yeah? So 3.4 devices. It's changed. This is the reason. Mobiles, number of devices, the amount of connectivity that we have has changed the way people consume things. Now, going back to that slide, it's interesting because you showed digital, we showed print, and we showed radio. Most opticians that we have worked with and probably are going to work with in the future have hardly done any digital marketing. They're still focusing on print, possibly radio. Most of the focus is there. That's dying, that's dropping. All the people that you want to target are looking at it on digitally. And the great thing about digital marketing is you're able to track every single step of the way, measure what works and what doesn't work. More than half the traffic that goes on the internet goes through mobile phones to the internet. And that number will grow as places like China and India get stronger as well, because most of the population there haven't probably got mobile or smartphones just yet. When visiting a mobile website, so mobile websites are more important than desktop websites, what's the most annoying thing for you personally? What do you dislike the most about when you visit a website mobily? Out of those there, you think? There's probably many things that annoy you. Slow pages? It's interesting you say that, because that is by far and away the most popular. 46% of people say that slow pages alienate them. And actually, Google has data. Google has data on absolutely everything. That's the great thing about it. Not only does it annoy people, it actually leads to your website failing as a business website. How long do you think too long is, by the way?
Anything longer than a second.
We're so patient, aren't we? 1 second and we get annoyed. Okay, so it's interesting you say that, because the stats we have show if your website takes longer than 3 seconds to load, 50% of the traffic that you're paying for, if you're doing marketing with Google, that you're putting billboards out, you're sending flyers out, 50% of the marketing that you're doing, you're throwing out the window because your website takes too long to load. So think about that. Before you actually even think about digital marketing, the first thing to think about is any marketing that you do, more than likely that most people will probably visit your website rather than phone you or call you. They'll probably visit your website to learn more about you. More importantly, they will also visit probably 2 or 3 of your competitors before making a decision whether they should use you or them. So the first impression is very important. If that first impression is to leave you, and 50% will, if your website takes over 3 seconds, you're throwing money down the drain there. So it's really important to build your foundations correctly. Here's the stats actually. Here's the data that being provided by Google. Google Analytics data at the bottom, you'll see the sources. 1 second website load time versus a 3 second. If your website takes 3 seconds to load, you'll have a bounce rate of 50%. That means half the people will leave your website very quickly. But more importantly, the action that you want them to take, which is the conversions on the left-hand side, and by conversion I mean they leave their number on a form, they contact you, or they engage with you, you're going to lose 1/5 of those just because your website's too slow. And actually I've seen it on some pages, especially with diaries loading. The basic online diaries sometimes access to in-store practice and the server speed might be low. It does kill the conversion rates. If we want to go, some sites take longer. Some sites can take up to 5 seconds to load. If you're doing that, you should forget the marketing for a moment. You should think, hold on a minute, how can we make our website quicker? There's some skills you can do. For example, many websites have images taken with these lovely 12 million pixel cameras. So when you're uploading these images, keep them in a low-res file because it doesn't make a difference. No one's going to print the files out, so they load quicker. There's also other skills that your web developers can do, like caching things as well, so it's quicker. If you're concerned about your speed or you just want to make sure, there's a website, again, developed by Google. Test my site, thinkwithgoogle.com. Thing to take is, take it with a pinch of salt, because what this tool does, it loads everything on the page. Now, some web development companies are quite clever. What they do is they load part of your website first, so something loads, and then in the background, other things are loading. But you still have to take this into consideration. The best test, I think, is actually just visit your website on a reasonably quick connection and have a look at how it performs. Have a look at how your competitor's site performs. If it's okay for you, it should be okay for others, and that's the true test of it. On this test, you'll get a variety of results, including mobile speed, desktop speed, and mobile friendliness. Does everyone know what mobile friendliness is? Mobile friendly is, some websites in the old days, they were done in HTML5, and that means when you loaded them on a web page on your phone, it looked exactly the same on your phone as it did on a desktop, which is HTML5. At the time, 5, 6, 7 years ago, people were very pleased with that. That was pretty good. About 2.5 years ago, Google changed the way it ranks websites. So if you did a search from a mobile telephone, saying something like opticians near me, eye tests, whatever it might be, if it was done on a mobile device, Google wanted to give the best experience possible to its users. So they said if your site was not mobile friendly, and by mobile friendly I mean a site where you have to do that, you know, when you kind of go into it and zoom in, zoom out, that's not mobile friendly. Google will push you down the ranking. That's like literally having a great location on the high street, and then due to the fact that your shop looks ugly on the front or you can't get through the door, they say, hold on a minute, we're going to remove you from the high street, we're going to push you back down. So it's very important to have a mobile-friendly website. It's very important to have a mobile-friendly website that's fast. Then you can take advantage of all the kind of advertising platforms that we're going to suggest to you today. Nathan mentioned it about users using different devices, different times of the day, looking for different things. It's not easy to track because of the way we consume data now. It's always there, it's always in our hand. It's not necessary that we're going to go home. This is my time on the internet. We're going to spend half an hour. We're going to learn about opticians. It could be I'm on the bus going to work. It could be that I'm waiting for a presentation. I'll sit outside, I'll do some research. People are doing things differently. It's even shown the statistics that where people look on the mobile phone initially and then do the purchase on the desktop. So people are doing things in a different manner just because of the convenience and ease of how it's available to us. It's something worth considering. 75%, actually says that, will start an activity on one device and move on to another device. So it's still important to consider all the devices, but mobile obviously is first and foremost. Your mobile website checklist, some things that you should consider with your website. First 2 things are very important. Website speed, make sure it's quick, make sure it loads quickly. Current friendliness, make sure your website is extremely friendly. Yeah, that's important because that will help you get higher up Google for relevant searches. Video content is a must. Not yet, but in the future. Most of the web browsing that will take place, and Nathan's going to talk about this in his presentation, most of the web browsing that will happen in the near future will be via video content. People just haven't got the patience to sit there for 6 minutes and read about dry eyes. They'd rather watch a video from an expert and learn about it that way, as an example, yeah? You know, when we want to learn a product, if you go to Amazon, you can actually watch a video review of the product rather than something else. That's the way people are behaving a little bit different. So on your website, do you have enough content? You know, so think of it this way. You know when you do, when you're looking for your business, but you can't write your business name in there. Write down all the web services that write down all the services that you have, write down all the brands that you sell, write down all the people that you serve, but do not mention your own name in the text. Yeah? And see how many searches you come up for. Obvious one would be I test this area. Another one could be I test in postcode. Another one could be I test near this practice or near this shopping center. You know, I test is one. Itchy eyes, dry eyes, red eyes, designer eyewear, cheap glasses, good eye test, whatever it might be. Think about all the words. There's probably millions of words out there. Write down the main ones. Don't put your practice name in and see how many you come up for. And I bet you if you do the search on a desktop and you do a search on a mobile device, the results will be different. Yeah? If you did the search opticians near me and you're standing outside your shop and your practice doesn't come up, you should be really concerned. Yeah? And we've tested that. It doesn't happen. Yeah? It could be that Google charges for that service in the future. I mean, that does work because optician near me may not be searched as much as other things. For example, restaurant near me, burger place near me, petrol station near me, etc. But still, the intent of somebody who does that search, yeah, we found with some of the campaigns we do, some of the most successful campaigns are same-day glasses. So do this. If you offer same-day glasses or fast glasses, do a search because the intent for that person is I need them today, I need them now. Yeah, so they're willing to travel or whatever it might be. Ortho-K is another one which is people are willing to travel for. Have you got good content of all the clinical services that you offer? Yeah. Are your opening hours, your directions, your bus routes, everything about your practice, is it written there? Another good thing to have on a website is a walk around the practice. So you can actually go in, have a look around, not just your practice, but any business. Ultimately, the more information you can give to your user, the easier it will be for them to make the decision for you to attract the right patient into your practice. These are things that help, and it also helps your Google Plus listing as well. Products, do you showcase them online? Do you show what brands you have? Some practices have amazing brands in practice, but they don't show them, or they do not even show their logos, for example, yeah? Now the thing is, there's lots of people out there searching for product brands and specific models. So if within the brands you offer, what's a very popular product right now? Well, what's Selena Gomez or Kim Kardashian been walking around in recently? Because people are searching for that, a certain type of client, yeah? Again, do that search and see if you come up. More likely if you have a product catalog. Now, some of the sites we offer have catalog services, which means that you can showcase products from specific brands on your website, and each and every page then has certain keywords. So if people are looking for those terms, you will come up higher locally in your area. Can I buy online? Now, this is one I don't push to my customers. It's totally up to you if you want to try e-commerce. Ask yourself a question. Is e-commerce not going to work in your industry? It works in nearly all the industries. Is it possible that e-commerce will just fail in optics and it work everywhere else? Well, I wouldn't think so, because contact lenses, for example, a large proportion of worldwide sales in a new channel are done through online buying. Those customers, if they have the option of going back to the person they bought from, had their eye test from, have confidence in, and they can visit locally, would they prefer doing it with them, or would they prefer doing it with a big guy based in Holland? It's going to stay, people. It will stay. How can you embrace it? That's the question. Now, my personal opinion is the reason it hasn't taken off just yet is because there's a clear difference in terms of online price and in-store price. Clinical services are mixed into the product pricing at the moment. I think over time that will change. Even Specsavers, I think, is going more clinical now. So you'll find that when that happens and one of the big guys is doing it online, others will follow. So if you have got a strategy, and we just came up with a strategy the other day, which is kind of surprising to me, but we were talking about something, and we said, what if we could have a site where you can log in, and for different customers you can have different prices. So your customers can buy online, but each customer, so you might have someone come in and say, hey, can I have a copy of my prescription? You say, well, if you want to buy online, you can buy online with us and give them a certain discount, so no one else has to know what prices are. That's one way of doing it. Maybe you don't have sunglasses in your store in a big way, but you can still sell them online. So that's another option. But do consider it, because I don't think it's going to disappear. Contrary, I think it's going to grow and it's going to become stronger. So have a consideration of that. The crux of it is your customer base is becoming more digitally savvy. Technology has allowed for things to happen now that could not happen before. Not just in this sector. Soon, we will be jumping into cars and not having the need to drive. You will have to drink and ride, I suppose, yeah? That'd be interesting. But things are changing, It's apparent, it's obvious. You must do it yourself, because if you don't, you're going to lose those customers eventually. So my presentation has basically hopefully given you an insight of how things have changed. It's kind of obvious, and actually it's interesting because I went to a workshop at Google's offices to do with cloud computers about 2 years ago, and the guy who was presenting, he said today is a unique day, because today is the slowest rate of technology change that we'll ever have in our lifetime, because tomorrow will be quicker, the day after will be quicker, and the day after. It's kind of scary what might happen. The refrigerator one might be convenient, I suppose, yeah? But the idea is that it's getting quicker and quicker. So if you developed your site 2-3 years ago, it's possibly already too late. You've got to change it again. And I say that because if you look at 3 or 4 different designs from websites, I bet you can look at that one and say that one's the most modern one, and that one probably hasn't been touched for 2 years. They start looking a little stale quickly. Have consideration of that. So what we'll do is have a short break for about 10 to 15 minutes. Coffees are outside, and then Hannah will come up and do a part on social media. Thank you.